video, I'm going to explain and demonstrate how to do the body weight squat. First, I'll demonstrate it, and then I'm going to explain how low you should go, and we'll talk about the spine. So your squat is essentially, you're sitting down into a chair, hips go backwards, knees bend to get you down. As you come back up, squeeze your bum. We want to activate those glute muscles because they are the primary movers for doing the hip hinge to get you back up. So you want to squeeze, make sure we're engaging them properly. That's pretty much how to do the squat. Now, when you're doing the squat, a few things to keep in mind. You want to make sure your knees are tracking over your toes. A lot of people will say, okay, squat, feet about shoulder width apart, and go down. Okay, that's fine. Now, if we have our feet wider and our toes are pointing straight ahead, look what happens to my knees. Are my knees right over top of my toes? They're kind of, if I drew a straight line or dropped had a plumb bob going straight down from my knee to the floor, they're not even anywhere close to my toes. And I'm going to try and get them out, but still they're not in line with my toes. To correct that, you simply turn your toes outwards, which is called hip external rotation. Watch what happens now. Now my knees can go right over my toes. When you are in the bottom position of the squat, you should be able to just lift your toes off the ground. You're almost falling backwards as I was there. The weight should be on your heels primarily. So you see how I can lift my toes up? If you have a problem with your knees kind of going forward like this, simply go to a wall, get as close as you can, and squat down like that, and the wall will limit your knees from coming forward. The knees generally just go forward though because you're not hinging backwards. So imagine someone's got a rope tied around your waist and they're pulling your hips back, and then you're just lowering yourself down the rest of the way through your knees. It's totally fine to lean forward. The concern is rounding your spine or rounding your lower back when you're doing the squat. Squatting with a heavy load and rounding your lower back is one of the best ways to herniate a disc. So you want to avoid that. Not everyone should squat to parallel or below, because everyone's hip anatomy is different. Your hip anatomy dictates how low you can go with a neutral spine. For myself, I can barely just get to parallel, and I cannot go lower than parallel for sure without rounding my lower back. There are ways to get lower in your squat while maintaining a neutral spine by simply altering your foot width and your foot position, as I showed you before by turning your toes out. I'm going to show you now just how that works. So with my feet close together, I'm going to sit back into a squat, and I'm going to show you with this hand here the point at which my lower back starts to round. Okay, so I'm going down, down, right there, the spine starts to break. You see? My hips look like they're rolling underneath. That's spine flexion. The disc between the two vertebrae basically is getting squished towards the spinal cord. Now, do I normally squat with my feet this close together? No. I can bring my feet wider apart and actually turn them out a little bit, and that'll enable me to squat lower. I'll show you. So here's the narrow foot position. I can get to there and the lower back starts to round. If I widen my feet up, but my toes are pointing straight ahead, and I sit down, it's still about the same. But if I externally rotate my hips, which is turning my toes out, watch what happens. Watch how low I can get now without this happening. I can get all the way down to there, right? There it starts to move. So when I squat, I don't go any lower than that point, because for me, the benefits of squatting below parallel or squatting below the point where I can maintain a neutral spine is not worth it. I don't want to herniate a disc. I don't want to have an injury. I've been training for roughly 30 years. Never had an injury from that because I've never squatted, well, I'm hoping it's because I've never squatted below parallel. Some people can get away with squatting below parallel and rounding their backs and they'll never have an injury, okay? You see it all the time, but they're usually not average human beings, okay? My advice would be don't squat below parallel if you cannot maintain a neutral spine. And in addition, I would say, just don't squat any lower than you can without maintaining a neutral spine. That will ensure you have a long, long life of lifting and doing whatever else you do outside of the gym without an injury. If you have a really good reason to squat to parallel or below, such as because you are a power lifter or something like that, dogs are upset with me or something, I can hear them barking, then I would say you just have to decide if the risk is worth the reward. Anyways, I hope that helps you understand the squat and why we should be concerned on our squat depth. If you have any questions, please let me know, and we'll catch you next time.